Family. It's your man IPO Mase, and we're back with another episode of Godly Wisdom. Listen, before I even start, I want to make sure you have your ears open as well as your hearts, because I believe this is not only going to bless you, but it's going to provide some revelation for you as you endure the promise. Today, I want to talk about something that is needed for the journey, but very few have. I want to talk about the power of patience. The power of patience. Now, since we're living in a time where fast and instant is considered the standard due to the convenience it comes with, let me provide you with the definition. Patience is the ability to endure difficult people and situations without giving into anger or giving up hope. One of the things I love about patience is that it tests your drive and it tests your will. Yeah, see, patience is one of those things that takes you out of control. It puts you into a period of waiting while sitting with your thoughts. It challenges your mindset because whatever you're waiting on, there is no guarantee that it will happen. But you're willing to take a chance and wait for a certain period of time to see itself manifest. I believe patience is one of those universal laws. If applied correctly, it can yield you a great harvest, and I'm going to prove it to you. One of my favorite chapters in the Bible, Ecclesiastes 11, 1 through 4. I want to read you just a small passage. Send your grains across the seas, and in time, profits will flow back to you. But divide your investments among many places, for you do not know what risk may lie ahead. Farmers who wait for perfect weather never plant. And if you watch every cloud, they never harvest. But let me go a little bit deeper. If you know me, you know that I love investing. I love stocks. I love finance. And I want to show you the power again of having patience. Now, if you were to invest in Apple stock in the year of 2013 and you had held it up until 2024, which would be approximately a 11-year period, you would have yielded, based off of that $1,000 investment, you would have yielded $448,000 in your brokerage account. Now, at that time, I was around 17, 18, so I knew about stock, but I didn't know how to go about buying stock. But the thing it showed me is that having patience with this seed, it could produce a large harvest. Having patience. Patience can cost you, or patience can gain you wealth. Patience can cause you to receive one of the greatest relationships, or it could cost you the potential of one. Having patience allows for God to set you up for opportunity. Interesting enough, I was looking up when Joe Biden had dropped out of the presidential race, and he dropped out on July 21st, 2024. Now, mind you, the election is November 5th, 2024. So we're talking about roughly 5 to 6 months of time to where the Democratic Party had to come up with a suitable candidate in order to run against Donald Trump. And long behold, the presidential nominee, Mrs. Harris, was in position. I believe she was a testament to the word of patience, especially for women. I say that because patience allowed her to step into the promise that I believe she was being prepped for all along. God uses patience as a tool to build your faith. Patience will get you to vice president to president. Patience can get you to broke to wealthy. One of my favorite stories in the Bible is a man by the name of Joseph. And if you don't know the story, I'll break it down very briefly. Joseph was like the black sheep of the family. Yeah, see, Joseph was that sibling to where you knew he was going places. You knew he had favor on his life, and quiet as kept. He was your mom and dad's favorite child. Yeah, he was that kid. Always did what he was supposed to do. Always carried himself in a well-mannered position. Joseph was what you would want your son to be like. And so Joseph's own brothers decided, we're tired of Joseph. He gets everything he wants. He never has to work. And then he has the audacity to have dreams of us serving him. And so one day they hatched a plan. And they hatched a plan to kill Joseph. Can you believe that? They actually hatched a plan to kill their own brother. And as they began to hatch the plan, one of his older brothers decided, why kill him? Why have our blood on his hands? Let's just sell him. We can tell our dad a wild animal had ate him. He will be gone from our lives forever. And we won't have to hear the name Joseph ever again. And so they did just that. They set their brother up and they sold him to some Egyptian slave traders. And essentially Joseph became the best child, and he became the child that was going places to now the child that's missing, and his life is turned upside down. And so one of the Egyptian officials by the name of Potiphar essentially took a liking to Joseph. And so he ends up having him as his slave. And as Joseph begins to work for Potiphar, he works hard, he works diligent, he's always on time, he never talks back, he just works, he goes about his business, and he's successful. I'm going to give you some wisdom right now. If you ever plan to be wealthy, make sure you find you a Joseph. And so long story short, as Potiphar sees Joseph's abilities and he puts him essentially in charge of all his belongings, his house, his possessions, his administrative duties, he put him in front of everything. And one day Potiphar's wife take a liking to Joseph. She sees how he handles business. He's a handsome young man, right? And she roll up on Joseph like, Joseph. What's up, Joseph? I need that, Joseph. I'm paraphrasing. And Joseph like, I can't deal with you. You my master's wife. You're the only thing that he withheld from me. Why would I be a corrupt servant and sleep with you? And she trying to steady seduce Joseph. And Joseph straight up told her no. And after multiple attempts, Joseph turns away from her and his clothing end up ripping in her hand. And she gets upset because now she feels rejected. And so she ended up hatching a plan to where her husband comes home and she's crying. She's upset. She's vulnerable. She's in her emotions. And she tells him, that Hebrew slave that you brought into our house tried to do something to me. Now, deep down, I believe Potiphar knew that it couldn't have been Joseph that did this. But based on the supporting evidence, Joseph was gone. He ended up running away. His wife is crying. And he's a husband. And you know, as a husband, your job is to protect, provide, be the man of the house. And so he knew he had to do something. And so he ends up throwing Joseph in jail to rot. Now, could you imagine if you're Joseph, you get betrayed by your brothers, you get sold into slavery, you do good work, and now the boss's wife trying to get with you, and then you reject her, so now you're in jail. And you start to just say to yourself, why me, Lord? What have I done? Why does my life feel like it's going into shambles? I treat people right. I do my job. I pray. I pay my tithes. I'm faithful. I'm caring. Why am I going through this? And God is saying, I'm testing your patience. I'm building your character. I want you to know that no matter what situation you find yourself in, I'll always be with you. And so sometimes, again, God uses patience as an opportunity for promotion. And so one day these two men come into the prison with Joseph. Now, by this time, Joseph has again found favor with the prison warden, and two guys have these two dreams on the same night. And not to go too deep into the dreams because I want you to read your word, but one person's dream had a meaning of he was going to be restored to his position to the Pharaoh. He was a cupbearer. And another person was the Pharaoh's bread maker, and his dream indicated that he was going to be beheaded within 3 days and the birds was going to be eating off his head. But Joseph told the cupbearer, he said, listen, when you get back in Pharaoh's good graces, I need you to put in the word for me. Tell him who I am and my ability, because I'm trying to get out of here. And 2 years pass and Joseph's still in jail, but he remains faithful, and God gives Pharaoh 2 dreams. And in his dreams, he has a dream about 7 healthy cows and 7 famine cows. And what I mean by famine, meaning he has a dream that these cows that he sees are weak and skinny and basically look like they're sick. And so Pharaoh knows, he says, there's something about this dream. I can't put my finger on it. So I need to interpret just this dream because it has some meaning. And so Pharaoh calls for all the wise men and all the people that did astrology and to be able to try to interpret this dream. And what I love about God, God made it to where only Joseph could interpret the dream. And so the cupbearer said a word and said, Pharaoh, I'm sorry. I forgot about this guy that when you was mad at me, I was in prison with him and he interpreted my dream. Maybe he can interpret yours. And so the Pharaoh sends for Joseph at once, and Joseph interprets the dreams of the cows, and Joseph lets Pharaoh know that essentially your dream is one and the same. Egypt is going to have 7 years of prosperity, but then they're going to have 7 years of famine. And the famine is going to be so bad that people won't be able to remember the 7 good years that Egypt had. And so what Pharaoh needed to do was he needed to appoint somebody with wisdom that could be able to basically make a strategic plan to have a certain amount of reserve. So when the 7 years of famine goes on, Egypt will have something. This is what I love about God, and I'm going to just end it. I'm going to end it with this. God was prepping Joseph all of his life in order to be ready for this position. And it took patience, it took endurance, and it took trust. And then in the end, Pharaoh ends up promoting Joseph to be basically the king of Egypt. He was second in command only under the Pharaoh himself. When you have patience, when you have trust, and when you're prepared, you are able to get promoted into a life-changing position. And I believe in this season that we're experiencing now, even in your life, you are getting ready to be promoted, but you're going to have to endure and you're going to have to learn patience. Because patience is going to open up some doors for you. Patience is going to make some community changes. Patience is going to land you into some influential places in front of influential people that you're going to be able to change the world. It's important that you have patience. It's IPO Mase. It's godly wisdom. We out.